If you know anything about me, you know that I have a connection to Namco games. My mother would play Pac-Man, Galaga, Dig Dug, and Rolling Thunder. My young, underdeveloped brain couldn't help being drawn in by the colors and sounds at the arcade. These games brought me into gaming, and I still enjoy the classics today. Rolling Thunder 2 was released in 1990 on the Sega Genesis as a port of the arcade game of the same name. I've spent some time with the original arcade release, and I think the Genesis port is far superior, although some aspects of the arcade port surpass the Genesis, especially from a technical standpoint. Like this part where the door was originally a fucking subway tunnel? I'm sorry, I got way too excited about that. When Namco crafted the home console version, they made a few artistic tweaks that made it feel special. That brings me to my favorite aspect of the game, the art style, the aesthetic. It has that classic anime style you see in shows like City Hunter. When I was a kid, I had to sit through the intro every single time I played to get the full effect of the experience. Damn, so smooth. Okay, so the plot. In the first game, you take down the Gelger organization, but like any evil supervillain company, they regrouped and posted some job openings on Indeed. Now, they are destroying satellites, disrupting communication, and causing chaos. Have you seen what shows they were airing back then? I'd lose my mind if I couldn't watch my shows too. Oh, it probably just disrupts communications. Never mind. As soon as you get past the intro and to the main menu, you have the option to play solo or with a friend. You get an amazing sound test screen and a password system that looks like someone was on drugs when they came up with it. Before you are thrown into the fire, you can choose between agents Albatross and Layla. Hell yeah, gonna give you an equal rights ass whooping. Girl power. I never understood the whole gender discourse in games because I was a younger sibling and I was forced to play as Layla. I didn't care too much, although she's dressed like she's gonna hit a Miami nightclub right after the mission, and that's a little weird. Rolling Thunder is a side-scrolling shooter with a fairly simple strategy: duck and shoot. You also have other methods of traversal and avoiding damage, such as jumping to clear obstacles and dodging bullets. And you have a high jump to reach balconies and upper levels that leaves you invulnerable for a frame or two if you time it well enough. You can also enter doorways to get yourself out of harm's way, and I was always curious to know what they were doing going into those rooms in the middle of a firefight. Rolling Thunder 2 is also the first shooter I've played with a cover system, allowing you to hide in crevices to avoid animal attacks and gunshots. Since I'm on the subject of doors, they play a huge part in the game, providing ammo or special bonuses in the form of health or extra time on the clock. You can also trigger specials by shooting specific items. The enemies are zealot robot terrorists that follow their leader's every word, and different enemy types are important to remember for your success. Here are the basic enemy types: one yellow and one green. Yellow takes one shot, green takes 2 shots to defeat. Then you have your puffy armor guys that aim at your knees. They are honestly the biggest threat in the game due to them showing up in a crowd and sneaking in shots that you don't see until it's too late. If you don't have additional health, you are going to die. One shot takes 2 bars, and a punch takes 1. The only strange thing is that the grenade does the same damage as a punch. You can take it literally when I say the explosives really pack a punch. Some enemies always used to remind me of the Energizer Bunny and just walk back and forth, but they are surrounded by energy, and you have to shoot them in the pack on their back, causing a massive flash that will blind your enemies nearby. I won't show the explosion because it causes excessive flickering, and I really don't want to deal with that. Then there are the fishmen. These guys pace back and forth anxiously, and the moment that they see you, they start launching bombs at you like a toddler on Adderall. Timing is everything when you take these guys on. A few back and forths and maybe some jumps, and you'll be able to match his freak and defeat him. If you don't, he's gonna bowl a 300 right on your motherfucking head. Next, we have the guys that hide in the walls. This is where the cover system plays an important part in the gameplay. Just like with the fishmen, timing is everything. Last, there are these armadillo guys in the Cairo, Egypt level that are constantly trying to stab you with these screw things, but they are comedically easy to take out. As long as you are behind a barrier, they can't get to you. Just make sure you take them out because they will teleport and kill you anyway. As tight and well-crafted as this game is, I have a problem with some parts. One of the issues was with what I mentioned earlier. Whenever crowds form, you are almost guaranteed to get wrecked, unless you shoot like a madman. The guys that aim high and the guys that aim at your knees coming for you at the same time can be disastrous. Toward the later portion of the game, you deal with that and guys throwing explosives. Causes so much more chaos. On the Egypt level, there's a spot near the end where there are giant ancient jars that everybody hides in. There's a guy throwing bombs and there is no possible way to get past that part. The only way to solve this problem is to backtrack until the game doesn't allow you to move anymore. When you return to the same spot, he magically disappears. Oh, I'm not done with this part. The developers were definitely pranking us because there are parts where the jars aren't properly aligned. If you duck behind the jar instead of inside of it, you will get hit because of the angle, straight into your head. You will die. The level after this, inside the temples, is the part where shit gets real. There's some platforming and it's not too bad, but you're fighting against bats and guys with guns at the same time. I was fighting for my life. Now before I move on, I want to complain about the elevators. It's by design, I know, but the elevator sections are the most challenging part of the entire game, requiring you to have the reflexes of John Wick. You'll probably just end up like he did in that one scene. You know what scene. There's one big elevator in the final level, but you want to survive the encounter so you can have enough ammo to defeat the final boss. He's pretty easy when you watch his patterns. The game requires some thinking and strategy, but as far as difficulty goes, it's not impossible once you learn what everything is and how to do everything. Finally, I want to talk about the music. The soundtrack is the glue that pulls the game together from an artistic standpoint. I always love when the sound team puts together songs that don't necessarily say it's a cookie-cutter action game and give us something to jam to. There's a sound test mode that gives you a full music player, along with a band that consists of adorable animals to add to the atmosphere. I used to spend a lot of time on this as a kid. Overall, Rolling Thunder 2 is a solid and responsive shooter that can be a little tricky sometimes. It looks and sounds beautiful, and it's a shame that it's a hidden gem. The Genesis version hasn't had a port since the Wii Shop as far as I remember, but the arcade version is available on pretty much every system. Hopefully, Namco and Sega can work together one day and make this game available to more people. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos on game reviews, and if you have any suggestions for what I should review next, I'll be posting polls in my Patreon, so you can vote for whatever system I cover next. I will also post updates on projects I'm working on there. See you on the next one.